someone has test suite tool in their portfolio or the enterprise, we are pretty much sure that 90% are automated, and there are so many clients that come up with the proof that they are able to automate 90% of their test case, and just 10% are manual, mainly because they are supposed to do manually. We are not supposed to automate those test cases. So which means we are able to automate most of most of the scenarios, right? So basically the scenario comes into different kind of applications, like desktop applications, mobile applications, or APIs, and so many different products, right? So we have natively integration with so many products like SAP and Salesforce and so on, and still we have so many plugins to work with so many products. So we have the integration part very well with so many products. So we are able to cover most of the scenarios in testing. Okay, so UiPath Test Manager, right? So we'll go through each of these components in a while. So let me bring my studio. So if somebody is not aware of UiPath Studio, so this is what the studio is all about. So let me create a process. So if an RPA developer is wanted to create a process, let us call this as some UiPath demo. Okay. So I'm just creating a process saying that create a demo for testing. RPA testing. Application testing. So we need to give a proper description for the processes, and I just create the process. So testers who are not aware of the UiPath Studio, so this is one of the main component for the UiPath Test Suite. So developer creates all their workflows programs in UiPath Studio, and using the same studio, the testers, UiPath testers also create some test cases against each of their workflows. So that is the main activity they perform. We also have orchestrator, the robot, and the test manager, which is a web application that I'll be showing in a moment. Okay, so this is called the orchestrator. So orchestrator is another platform where we can manage the test cases, manage the processes, and so on. So you will be able to see if any processes is published, you can see it here. And you will be able to manage the machines, users, and monitor the automations in the orchestrator. Right, so you need to be given accesses to the test manager. So as an admin will be able to give you accesses to the test manager. So you may need to have the licenses. So licenses for the orchestrator. I mean the to the test manager. Test manager need to be enabled on your tenant, right? So on a tenant level, it needs to be enabled. And in the services, you need to, like you'll be able to launch. You need to be seeing this test manager in your tenant level. Then only you have this access to test manager. So what I did, so I did add the services and just enabled the test manager here. That's why I'm able to see here. So there are many other services like data service, document understanding, and automation hub, and so on. But now today our topic is test manager. So I just enabled from the add services, the test manager, and it is able to see here. So this is the first level of setting if you want to access to the test manager. Okay. And then once you given access, your test manager will be displayed in the left-hand side of the orchestrator. So where you can click on this test manager to launch that. Okay, so you saw the test manager. So this is how it looks like when you open. There will not be any kind of projects here. By default, it will be like this blank one. So you'll be able to create a new project or you can import a project, right? So the file is, when you create this project here, you will be able to export the project, and you will be able to import in another test manager. So your company has 10 different 10 different tenants, and you want to import this to different tenants, then you can do the import the entire project, right? So you don't need to create everything right from scratch. Instead, when you export, you will be getting a TMH file. So you export that, you will be able to, for example, let me check if I have any TMH file. Looks like, yeah. So clicking on that will import that previous file, right? So I have exported some other file previously. So by importing, I'm able to import this one. So that's the test manager overview. So this is how it looks like, and you saw the UiPath Studio and UiPath robot, which you will not be able to see, but when the test cases is executed, the robot automatically opens all the application. It copies data from one place to the other and execute all your test cases that you have created, and create the test results in test manager. So that is the robot that works in the background. And there is also the automation hub, right? So I told this test manager hub. So this is also, you cannot see that, but it's in the backend, it connects to the ALM set of ALM tools, or it enables integration with any kind of tools that you need to perform. Right. So in the UiPath Test Manager, let us go explore something. So let us create a new project now. And let us call that as UiPath demo. And call that as UID, something like that. And demo of UiPath application. Just create this project. So as soon as you create that project, you can see that these are the main components of the test suite or of the test manager. Okay, so which is the requirements. So all the components of testing. So these are the main parameters that you need to perform testing, right? So first is the requirements, or you may call it as a epic, right? Or epic, or a task, or whatever you call it in any your ALM set of tools, right? So we call that, we have simplified this process by making like the requirements, and next is the test cases, right? So you may come across different test cases for any kind of scenarios. There will be multiple positive cases, negative cases, boundary value cases, and equivalence partitioning cases, and so on and so forth, right? So many test cases. So all your test cases, you can create it inside here, and you have option to create. In the requirement section, you can create a requirement. For example, any application you may need to log in, like UiPath, maybe call it as UI demo app login, right? So this is the name of the requirement. So login to the UI demo application using username and password, right? And when I say username and password in the right fields, and click on the submit button. So when I say username and password, so by default, you have different conditions: valid username, valid password, valid username, invalid password, and all the combinations. So minimum 4 test cases you can write. Maximum, you can write 10 to 20 test cases, right? So here I say it's a login, and say I'm giving some label. It is login, and it's for a sanity test case as well. So we say sanity every time we need to check sanity, or you may call it as a smoke as well. Just for labeling, I give sanity or smoke, that you can use this test cases. Like I'm thinking from the test set perspective. So I create this test case, So where I'm able to log in, right? So for so the main problem tester has, always they are like want to create the test cases again and again. So instead, like no need to create all the test cases, but we have a AI feature that will generate these test cases for you. So we got generate test, right? So this is pretty much all the generative AI that is available in the market. But like there are two options. Like if you have some test cases already written in an Excel file, you feel free to add those file by add a file. But I don't have any test cases. Even though I don't want to add that. It will anyway import it here. But that is the usual tools that perform. But we are AI tools. So let us go to the prompt, right? So the prompt already they have given different options like boundary value or elusive or end-to-end flow or valid end-to-end scenario testing. So whatever you want depends on this thing. So for the login, I put the boundary value testing, and it had given a prompt like when a minimum, maximum edge values or focus test case and the boundary values and so on. You may update this prompt or give before you select, say only these things I want. But let me generate and see how it actually works. Okay, so I'm generating this test case, so it will take some time to generate. And meantime, I can close this, and I can do my work. So once that test cases is done, it will give me a notification of whether it is created or not. Right, so that is one way of creating. So now I'm going to close this. So once that is created, I will get the test case. But now there is no test case. So to manually create the test case, what you need to do is create test case, and you give the name of the test case here, and give any version number that you want to test, and description, and just click create, right? And that's it. It will create, and then you can add, it's only the name of the test case, but you can add the actual result, the expected result, and so on and so forth after once you create the test cases, right? So let me check. It's still not there. A few seconds ago, yeah. So now there is a notification that the test cases has been completed. So it gives me so many options here, but I'm not going to choose all the test cases it has generated, but only that is applicable. So yeah, valid username and password, and empty username and empty password, and what else? Yeah, I think checks case sensitive, verify login with SQL injection or something. No, I just take only those three test cases that is more relevant to my this case. So I take that test case. So as soon as I take the test case, you can see for this requirement, there are three test cases already added, but the result is none because it is not yet executed, right? At the same time, what you can do is you can still work on the, attach any documents. If the requirements comes with any document, you can add those document if you want. If you have, you can add those. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is the requirement section. It is done. Let us explore the test case, how it is done. So you can see the UID is the project ID, and it is giving the number of numbers automatically. The number is assigned. And
I'm sorry to cut there, Rajneesh. I think we have a question.
yeah,
Can you please once again explain about the option of auto test case generation method?
sure, will do. Okay.
But maybe Rajneesh should be able to take you through that on a high level, but we have a dedicated session planned around it as
Yeah,
a
sure.
next.
No worries. Okay. Yeah. So that is very easy actually. The requirements is like once you create the requirement, you need to click on generate test cases. Okay. So once you generate test case, then you can generate, give the prompt and generate test case. That's it. You can write your prompt and give, so that whatever you want the the requirements to be covered, you can give all the parameters inside and create the test case. You can tell this robot to create just 5 test case, create only 5 test case. And I want these are the inputs you can mention there. I leave it to you for trying it out. But because of the time, I'm just moving a little bit faster. So you can create the test case. You can create test set. I'll show you how you create the test set. So let me create this as a smoke test. Better to call it a sanity test. Sanity tests, and then give sanity and create it. Okay, you can give a description, and once you create the test set, you know what you need to do. It comes with test cases, right? You need to assign those test case, right? So click on assign test case. You have an option in the tasks. In the test cases, you need to assign the test cases. So I'm adding all the 3 test cases to this one now. So every time, so this is very important for any massive projects, right? So you run the sanity test cases, automate everything. Why you are testing it again and again when there is a regression needed. So something changes to the system, and you are testing it again and again. So which consume a lot of time. Right. So what you need to do is you need to automate this test case, right? You automate, and we are able to schedule. So we can automate it. We can execute it in an automated way. Every time there is a release, create a smoke test batch, okay? And then add all the test cases there and then run it. So every time there is a change, you no need to run the test case again and again and again. That is the biggest problem for tester. It's a pain. Every time they have to test the same thing again and again. So as a tester, I realize how painful it is. So at Friday night, people will be telling to test if there is a release going on, right? No need to sit there and test it. Just execute it, run the schedule it, and go away. Okay, enjoy your life. And test results, yeah, it will be once we execute the test case. So let us, for a namesake, let us say it is in the test set. Where is the test case? What? It's gone. Yes, come on, test set. Yeah. So test set, I'm going to execute it manually. So actually, I'm able to execute it in an automatic way when the process is created. But let us say we execute it manually, set passed. It is passed. Let's say just one failed. Set passed, next. See, I'm executing it manually, everything. So if you go and see the test result, most of them are passed and still there is one fail. So which will be also showing in the dashboard, which is not coming. Yeah, it is coming here. The sanity test, right? The sanity test, it is coming in the dashboard. But here also we'll be able to execute from the test cases, from the test set. Both ways you can execute. Right. And that's one way of doing testing. And the other way of doing is you need to create the workflows. For example, in the UI demo, so if you have some, okay, let me open anything that's already there. I thought of creating right from scratch, but since we don't have enough time, I'm just showing the existing project that comes with the demo test case as well. Yes. Okay. So if you have any workflow, so you can create a test case against those workflow. For example, see the demo got something in it. Reloading. So to create a test case, you need to right click on that workflow file, and then you need to create an add test case, right? So that one you add, you can write create test case, right? So coded test flow, that is the next thing. This one we called it as a low code platform. So we add create test case, right? So we also able to do coded, which will be in the next sessions, upcoming sessions. But for this one, I have created a test case which will show something like this. So creating a test case will give you a wrapper, okay, which means that it is a BDD case, test case, given, when, and then, right? So you know what is given, when, and then, right? If you are a tester, so you know. Otherwise, I will tell you. So it is a behavioral driven development methodology where you have a condition, a precondition. All the precondition go into the given. When is the actual test case, right? And there is something problem with my cursor. Okay, so then is actually the verification part. So where we evaluate the condition based on the test case. So we get all the output. In the then part, we actually evaluate what happened to that output. So that determines whether the test case is going to pass or fail. So we'll be creating so many test cases like this, and then evaluate the software. Okay, so this can be done for both application testing, also the RPA testing. Okay, so imagine this is done, and then we are able to connect to the test manager. So okay, so okay. So we'll be able to connect to the test manager from the studio, and all the test cases you create in the UiPath Studio. So you will be able to connect to, for example, where is that? Let me open this one. You will be able to connect to the test manager from here. At the same time, you will be able to publish the process. If it is the workflow, then you publish the process. And also you will be able to publish the test cases. If you see here, the publish test cases. So when I click publish test cases, it will straight away go to the orchestrator, right? Or the test manager. At the same time, you are also able to connect to the test manager. How do I connect to the test manager? So there will be this option, test manager, available in the studio. Go to test manager settings, and then you need to enter the URL of the test manager, which is here, right? So this is my ID. It's a link. So I'm going to give this link here, and yeah, you can just connect. And the prefix also, like the project ID, like UID, right? So you need to give UID, and you get the UiPath demo. So which means it is directly connected to that project. So this is how you establish a connection with the test manager. And after that, all your project, your test cases files. So mainly it has, nowadays, you can see that when you create a project, it comes with the testing activities. So what does that actually mean? So go here and type testing. And you get so many options here in the data side. The main problem tester we have on a daily basis is to create relevant test data, right? So UiPath Test Suite give you a lot of options to generate the test data. So maybe generating address, generating random numbers, random string, or names, anything you can create. And we have test data queue to create test data. It's mainly for the data driven testing. These are behavioral driven testing combined with the data-driven testing, we can create the test data, and you can also use generative AI to create, the test data as well. And there are so many verification attributes like verify control attribute, verify expression with operator and range, right? So what does operator mean? I'll show just one. So, if you're like checking a specific data, right? So, and then, the second expression is something else. And then you for the two numbers, so the data 1 and data 2. So you got two data, like data and data 1, but you need to compare these two data, whether data 1 is equal or unequal or greater than, less than, contains, right? So you can look for all these different operations, right? So testing is all about comparing the two values, whether this is lesser or greater, or, so many things. So this is just one example, but we have so many options to, verify control attributes. So you can make use of all these functions, so these expressions to help you solve most of the test case problems, right? So that is one way. And let me come back to that ALM tools as well, right? So you are able to establish ALM connections, right? So how do I connect? In the project settings, we have integration with so many popular tools like Jira, ServiceNow, and SAP. Still we are able to connect with many more. And the Jira Cloud we can connect. So there is a basic authentication and OAuth authentication using which we can connect. I will be able to show you these connections, all the Jira connections and thing. Palani, do we have more time?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay.
I
No worries.
think we have time till 8:15, so
Okay, that's good. So let me take Jira. Login.
meantime, like if anyone has any question, just raise your hand so that we'll try to unmute you and you can get your queries clarified. Anything like if you would like to go with chat, please raise. I saw a few questions in the chat and then I tried to address them. Hope it got clarified. But if you still would like to ask for more details, just raise your hand so that we will try to unmute you and then you can ask it to. Any questions?
Yeah, feel free to ask. Any question is good question.
Yeah. Can be even a simple one. That's absolutely fine. Anyone who's new to Test Suite and like to know how to configure it, where to use it? Is there any questions around that? All right,
So,
cool.
yeah.
So
I'll
yeah,
take care on that. So
sure.
we'll integrate these things. So if you see, this is how Jira looks like. So in Jira, like you need to establish a connection with UiPath Test Manager. So this is free for you, but you can, like go to manage your apps or explore more apps and find out, you need to search and find out the test manager. So search for UiPath Test Manager. UiPath Test Manager. And straight away you can see that UiPath Test Manager is there. I have already added. That's why it says added. If it's not added, you need to click and add it. So that is the first step. And the second step, you go to your projects. So let me take my first project, my Kanban, and see, I'll delete these things just to show you. And in the so there will be the test manager will be displayed there. As soon as it is added, it comes into your Kanban project. So go to UiPath Test Manager here. And then, we need to do some settings. So I give on the task, epic and subtask and click on save. Right, and before I do that, so I need to copy this one. So I give something called Jira integration. and say the web URL I copy from here. This URL I copy from there to here, and say bug, and the project key is, so this one comes with the key. So you need to go to the project settings to find the key. It's called can. So this is the key, and give key and then create it. Okay, so a new connection will be established. So click on that and you get the API key. Okay, just copy this API key and then go here and okay, go to the campaign project. In the project settings, back to project. Yeah, sorry, UiPath Test Manager. So in the UiPath Test Manager, we need to configure. Okay, so in the API key, so URL comes from here, this test manager. So up to this underscore, you need to copy and paste it here. And the API key, we give it here and then click on save. So it will be created. And say, now you can go to the board and then create an issue and call it as a, yeah, whatever issue you can call it as, and say perform security testing on password. Okay, so this is another requirement. So we'll just enter. So let's go and check if this is created there. It's not created so far. See, in the requirements it has come, which is perform security testing on password a few seconds ago. So this means the integration is successful. So as soon as I created in Jira, straight away flows into this requirement. Same thing with test cases. So there is no test cases here. We can configure the test cases. And then when you create, so it will be moving to there. What other test case? Task, Epic. Epic is also a requirement. The task is also a requirement for UiPath. So automate all test cases. This is another requirement. So this is another one I created in progress item. Let's see if that is created there. If it is sometime, it will not be coming there. See, it's coming here, automate all test case. Yeah. So straight away the integration is successful. And you can also create a bug from here. So, if something is not working, you will be able to create a defect, and that defect will straight away flow to the so there is a failed test case, right? So you can see that failed test case. From the failed test case, you will be able to create that defect as well. That defect will create a defect. Accept. So when you create a defect, it will straight away go through the yeah, it will be created in the so this is something we will be adding in the UiPath. You'll be able to manage this defect within the UiPath, not now, but if you're something managing in the Jira, you very well you can do with that itself. Right. So something is created. Issues, any issues created? See. Login. Yeah, so we have seen that integration now. So the forward and backward integration. So from the UiPath and the Jira, right? So that's what I want to show today. But otherwise, if you have any questions, you can ask me. So I showed you the demo. So why you don't want to use other tools, because you are using 100 different automation tools. For API, you are using one tool. For workflow, you are using another tool, and desktop automation, another tool. For web, one tool. Why are you doing that? So everything it can be done in UiPath itself. It support pretty much everything, right? Anything, automate anything, automate everything, right? It is possible in UiPath that aligns with our logo. And yeah, so any test suite implementation or in-depth training in UiPath, contact me, Rajneesh Balakrishnan from To Automate Anything, your authorized UiPath partner. We help automate your business. We integrate, automate, and innovate to help our client thrive, elevate, and celebrate. Thank you. Any questions, I will be available to answer.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Thanks, Rajneesh.
Thanks.
So let me see if there is any questions. I see a question from Sandhya that defect will be visible in Jira as well or only in Test Manager?
It will be visible in Jira. So once the integration is successful, so the defect will be visible in Jira as well.
Right.
Yeah,
If
I
anyone
didn't.
interested.
So we need to create a defect also here, and then it will come flow here. So there is some issue in this one, but we need to fix that.
Hey Rajneesh, hi Palani. Sharif here. I have a question. As you mentioned, the merits of test suite, what are the limitations of test suite at the moment? What are the things that we cannot do inside the scope of the test suite? Whether it could be data-driven or behavior-driven testing.
Yeah, so in the test suite, we have simplified the testing process itself, right? So overall, you can see, the UiPath itself, kind of a process automation and intelligent automation tool, right? Testing being one of the processes, we are automating the process, right? So we have simplified to make it into a different components, suite of components, and we are accommodating the entire testing process here. But still, some some processes, some organization may need more features, right? So that may not be available, right? So you mean when you ask about data driven, we provide complete support for the data driven. There are so many options we have. Behavioral driven is supported, right? But there might be some features missing, but we don't know. You need to come up with how you are using that. Come up with a scenario what you are doing in your organization in testing, and we can see if that is available here or not. But a few things that are not available is the comprehensive defect management. We are not doing it, and that is mainly because there are so many defect management tool like Jira is already doing that, so we are not repeating the same. But we have provided. That's why we provide integration with all those tools. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Rajneesh, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Sharif.
There's another question from Julia, like test results with status like passed or failed and screenshots. Can we get it in Excel format?
So for defy, you have to always
Basically, you can get those screenshots in your report with the test manager because there is some activities in Studio to capture the screenshot even if it is passed or failed. So you can get those screenshots through that activity so that it gets reflected in your test manager. So if the business or the product team is having test manager access, basically they will be using the test manager. So if they are given with the access, they can get those screenshots and the place where it got failed or the place where it got passed. So it's available as an inbuilt feature within test manager itself. But if you are trying to export that, there are some marketplace products to export those screenshots as a document. So you can use those marketplace products.
Yeah. So if you are also want that in a Excel format, you need to customize it. So you need to work together with your RPA development team. So whenever there is a problem that ask them to log it in a Excel file, they might be already having the screenshots. So you need to ask them to put it in the Excel file, so you can use it for your verification later.
Hope that answers your question. We'll go for the next one. I'm sorry. Is someone unmuted?
Thank you. Thank you, Pavilion. I have asked the question. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So with a question from Sandhya. So for the defect life cycle, we have to always update in Jira only, right? But if I want to retest defect, then test execution will be done from test manager.
No, I don't think so, because you will be doing in Jira only, right? So you can see the test result pass or fail, but for your defect management, we'll go through the Jira. But once the defect is fixed, you can come into test manager and very well re-execute to make the status looks good. So the one you are seeing now, it's one of the failed test case, right? So we can override this result. So once you do your basics in the Jira, you can come here and make it pass, right? So yes, it is a manual task that you need to do just to make the test manager looks good.
Rajneesh, I'm still not satisfied with the answer. So so how do we maintaining the traceability here? Because if I go with the test results insights, I
Yeah.
will not be knowing that how many defects are generated and how many it's been closed, because we are not maintaining the defects in test manager, right?
Yeah, we are not maintaining defects. So we are only maintaining the test results, right? So for defect, we are not, it's not a defect management tool. So we mainly manage there is a requirements traceability, requirements to test case traceability, but not the defect traceability. So defect, we leave it for the ALM tools. So you need to do all your defect management there. Right, so here you need to update the test result. So if something is going through some upgrade and that it is you need to retest this one, so all the failed test case from the test result. So if you see here from the dashboard, how many passed and how many failed from this execution, right? So once you take that and you can execute it again, right? So you need to come here, only the failed test case, you need to open the test case and execute it again. So it will get passed. But no, defect we are not managing in the test manager.
Okay, so right now you showed this manual test cases, right? Let's say suppose my automated test case got failed. So for automated also, do I need to raise the defect in Jira only?
Yes, you need to raise. So automated test case. So automated test case will automatically execute. For example, from the test set, you can automatically execute it automatic way, and it will pass or fail. So creating that defect is a manual step. So you need to come here and, for example, the sanity test will be automated test. And this is you can forget about this manual, it will be automated. So that is the only change. So here it's automated, but this step is going to manual. So you may either raise a defect or you may override the result. So you'll be opening and verifying what has gone wrong, which step has gone wrong. And what you'll be doing is either you'll be creating a defect, or if you feel that no, it is a valid condition and it is passed, you can override the result and say it is passed. So what will happen in the dashboard, you can see everything is passed at that time.
Yeah, it would be like the 100% ratio is passed to them.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I still feel then we are not giving a right picture. I mean, at the end, I don't know. I mean, for automated test case, I still feel that we need to do in the test manager only instead of Jira, because we're doing everything end to end in the test manager, but just for the defect, which is like automated defect, why we are going into a Jira then?
So basically we can raise the defects from here, but then we have to manage it. It has to go to the defect management tool, right? So you can, yeah. So that answers your question, because when from a test manager point of view, you basically coordinate the test cases and requirements and also the executions. And if you see the execution is not passing or got failed due to some reason, we can mark that as a defect so that it gets reflected in your CRM or any kind of tool that you have. So, and then you can get to take that ticket to the product team and then get it fixed. So that once you get it fixed, you can include those changes if needed with the test cases and then you re-execute it. And that's what he was showing, like you can uh, revalidate kind of thing and then change those results as well. So that's the main purpose of test suite. But maybe if you feel like you want to have an automated defect logging here, maybe we will take that as a feedback and then pass it to the product team.
So,
Okay.
that's a valid point. Actually, we take that as a feedback. So, we have also raised with the UiPath product team on this defect. In our recent one of our event, we have raised this as a suggestion to create that defect lifecycle. So it's a debatable topic, mainly because, the test manager is not used by all the stakeholders, right? So defects mainly deals with the business stakeholders. They have to access, not everybody is accessing test manager. And most of the application testing side, they have a ALM tool already in place, most of them. And that's why, we mainly focus with integration. Name a tool that you have in your company. It may be Excel or any kind of tool, ALM tool. So we have an integration with them, right? But, this is a good feature to have if it is there inside. Still, it's a good, but not many will be using it. But still, it's a nice to have feature. But yeah, team is working on that.
Okay. Uh, thanks for the answer. I have one more question actually.
Yeah.
I recently joined RPA team in my project. I was not a part of the RPA before. So what they've given me the requirement is they already have a bot in the production which is failing for few of the scenarios because of the huge data. Sometimes it marks as a successful in the queue, but actually it has not updated in the UI application. So they wanted me to create a test case to test that the process bot, which has marked successful, should capture in your automated test case because it has ideally not updated in the UI. So this is a requirement I got. Now my question is, to test the bot one, I have to create the test bot two, right? Whether the bot one has created the work successfully or not. So, what's the industry standards? I mean, do I need to deploy my bot 2 in the production as well?
So, there are, you can perform, or is it possible for you to perform a sanity testing before even your bot is, your production bot is running? So is there a way that you can test in advance these conditions?
Yeah, so I asked the same thing. So they said they have done like thorough testing and UAT is also done, but still few of the transactions, the bot is marking as successful in the queue, but ideally it has not done in the UI. So then a question came into my mind that do I need to deploy another bot to check what the bot one has done it in the prod?
You can do with the same bot itself, is my opinion. Right, so there is a verification activities. So every time the bot performs an action based on the outcome, you can, with the same bot itself, you can do a verification activity and check,
Yeah.
what is the output and go with the next thing.
So I
Yeah.
think I think you were the one who pinged on the testing, right? I think you can try with the data-driven testing. So you don't need to create any new bot. It's just like you convert that workflow or a file to a test case, and then you can execute it so that it gives you a report and you don't need to create anything new. But it's just a matter of minutes. You can convert that and then pass the data to it. So that's how we usually test when it comes to RPA testing. So even if it is an application testing, we have to build from scratch and then we make that as a library, like we build it in libraries and then we club and then test it in a module. But when it comes to an RPA testing, you can just invoke that main file or just take that main XML file and then convert that as a test case. So that the moment when you execute the test case, it will have that main XML invoked and then the rest of the process will get called within the main itself, right? So
Correct.
that's
But
what we do.
this we can do in the prod or in the UAT environment. But they facing these issues in the prod. They want like if once the bot is giving the final output result, there it is successful, then your test case should find out that this is not actually the successful one, and the support team should look into this.
But testing will come before even it goes to production, right? That's how the flow goes. Like you take the development system, unit testing, and then UAT, and then it goes to prod, right? But then once it goes to prod, like if there is any change or any deviation, then you take that as a new enhancement and then you work on it, right? So that's how the flow is. But like, is it something different that you're explaining?
Okay, so then my test cases will be a part of till UAT. It will never go into a production, right?
No, that's how usually testing works. So it
Yeah,
doesn't go
as
with the
compared to
prod.
the SDLC lifecycle, we don't do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'll take it
just
offline, Sandhya. So this is a very vast topic. So I request you to connect offline.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I think you are part of the group, or maybe you can reach us through LinkedIn. So
so
we'll see if we can.
connect LinkedIn as well. So we
Yeah.
can.
I've just given the links for all the people who are present here. So you can just connect with them.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Thank you
Yeah.
all, and thank you so much, Rajnish, for joining us. I really appreciate. I don't know what I have no words. Like it's too late for you, I understand, but then still you were so kind enough to join us for the session.